Welcome, everybody, to House Club Live, the weekly live show where we talk about the newest house hits, chat with some of your favorite artists from all around the world, and most importantly, just hang out and catch up with each other. I'm now realizing that I heard myself playing back to myself and had a small hiccup there. This week, we're joined by Just Because, who has been in Los Angeles, who is an icon collective alumnus. He's now in Massachusetts. We'll connect with him shortly, but first we're going to man, I can't fucking speak today. What am I doing? Anyway, we're going to chat with our co-hosts, Mr. I am Vin Damato and Mr. Typical Nicholas, to see what's going on. Vin, how you doing, man? What's up?
Good. I had this crazy dream last night. I woke up in like a cold sweat because I subbed in for guitar for Maroon 5. And I was like so stoked. Like I was like, oh my God, this is sick. Crazy opportunity. Like I'm on stage. And then right before the first song hits, I realized I didn't know the song. Like I was like, oh my God, like I didn't, like I'm like, why am I up here? Why didn't I learn the song like in my dream? Like how did I not know the song?
Is that the dream that like jolts you awake? Like
so
that
then
type of dream?
woke up and immediately YouTubed how to play like 4 or 5 Maroon 5 songs.
By the way, inspired _ BYR wants to know what song you were supposed to play with
was
Maroon 5.
I think it was the set was starting off with I want to say Shiver. It was actually Shiver off of Songs About Jane.
Bold.
Yeah.
That sounds, look, if that's the scariest dream you've ever had, like that's a pretty good dream to have. I'm the kind of guy who I wake up and I realize like I've turned into a Transformer, but I'm the bad guy, and then all of a sudden I didn't turn into a baby. Then I wake up, I'm just
you're a Decepticon? Like
oh yeah, definitely.
Whoa, that's a crazy.
Oh no.
Well, Vin. Here's the most important question about Maroon 5. Did Adam Levine let you play the shirt off?
No, my shirt was on, but I'm fairly certain
only Adam Levine can
non-erotically
do that.
his shirt was off. So.
Such a bummer. Well, I mean, you got so close to being really popular with like waiting rooms everywhere.
I messed up, dude. I was like, man, my big shot, and I didn't know the song. So whatever. Yeah, I'll know next time. Though.
I can't. I wish I remember the exact phrasing, but one time in some article, this journalist was referring to Maroon 5's music, and they said it's like the hardest core elevator music they've ever heard.
Muzak.
And I really liked that. Yeah, like it was basically modern Muzak. Yeah. It was good to see you last night, Vin. For those of you listening, watching, I was lucky enough to be able to see Mr. Vin Damato in person. We got some outdoor dinner with the wives, the crew, the wives-esque, and a visiting friend, which was nice. It's nice to see like a bit of life coming back to normal.
Did Vin cook?
Nice
no, we went out. We
went to
they came up by us over in right by Santa Monica Airport. Food was okay.
That place, by the way,
but the ambiance was nice. It was nice out there.
I had a lovely time, and the ambiance was great. But you know that the food wasn't good when not a single word was spoken about the food entire dinner.
No, we were pretty, I think the food
except for when I insisted on eating your pizza.
It was pretty lackluster. So we it was what it was. Yeah. But the wine was good.
Man,
it was still nice.
I have a little bit of FOMO. It sounds fun. Sounds like a good Saturday night.
You gotta come out.
Yeah, I know. I know you're gonna be out here soon for something. We'll make it happen. And when we were driving around, when we left, we were driving around and we thought we were in like another planet. It was such a weird little area, like especially at night, because we had no concept of where we were. There were like airplane hangars on one side and like a FedEx facility on the other. And we were sure we were going to get murdered if we stopped too long at a stop sign.
It's nice over there. It's okay over there. But yeah, it's weird.
I believe you, but at the time, it felt sketchy just because like you couldn't see anything and there are like no street lights and you're like, oh
yeah, that's a main,
which is a weird thing to say.
It's odd because it's actually like a main thoroughfare. Like to get to the 10 from where we are off like Lincoln or Rose, you have to either go down towards Ocean Park and Bundy. You have to go through that airport usually. So it's kind of interesting that we go through that all the time. But yeah, like you could take like personal flying lessons there. There's like an old hangar with like antique cars. There's like a nice soccer field like you saw across from there. So interesting little area for sure.
And just so everybody knows, they're talking about Los Angeles. In case anybody didn't know what the 10 was.
Santa Monica Airport, Los Angeles, California, United States, North America, world. We can just go out there. Well, it was good catching up with you, Nick. We'll have to have you out there soon. And also soon enough, we'll have to get our next guest to join us, who's currently in Massachusetts. He's an Icon Collective alumnus. He's got a bunch of songs that were just released, and he's got more in the bag, and we're very excited to have him. Please welcome to the show, Just Because, a.k.a. Cam. Woo, woo, welcome to the show, Cam.
Yeah, he's good. All right, we're good.
Oh, he's on.
We're good.
Are we unmuted yet?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. Yes, we did it. Every time we do this, we're like, are we competent? And generally not, but welcome. You're in Massachusetts, and what I know you were in LA for a while. You were at Icon Collective. What brought you from LA back to Massachusetts?
It was a tough call at the time. I definitely want to stay out in LA, but as we all know, LA is quite the expensive place, and going back to school kind of drained your bank account for a little bit. So I moved back home right after that, but it's definitely on my radar to get back out there. I know Vin is always pulling for it. And I know he needs it too. He needs me not as a music producer friend, but also as a personal trainer as well. I know that's why he really wants me out there.
Yeah, we met originally actually through Vin when you guys were both at Icon. What was it like being there and being around a bunch of people all doing a very specifically similar thing? Because it wasn't like you're in just college where everybody has a different major and this and that, but everybody was trying to be a producer effectively. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, growing up in Mass, like there's not many people who were doing music production, and it was kind of weird at the time when I first started. No one really knew what I was trying to do. So being able to actually go out there and be surrounded by all these people who were kind of the same goal and focus was just helped me to excel a lot. You meet great people, you learn a lot. I probably learned more from Vin than I learned from the school, but
I appreciate that.
That's a whole other discussion.
No knock on Icon, because I learned a lot. But you just learn those little tips and tricks and from the friends you meet out there, and definitely a great experience for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too, because I think most of what I got from college was actually from being around different people and learning from them. Because the courses I learned a lot of facts basically. But then, life skills and different type of networking opportunities were all through the people themselves. And I think that's where a lot of the value comes from. So look, Icon could make you the best producer in the world, but if you still don't know anybody and you can't put a show together, you can't network to get your song out there, then who really cares? How do you think, have you stayed in touch with a lot of your Icon Collective friends?
I'd say there's probably a group of about 4 or 5 people I, talk to religiously. Every producer has that friend that they'll always send their demos and get that rough feedback from, whether it's good or bad. And you need those people, especially like Vin's probably one of those guys for me. My buddy Alec, my buddy Connor, you send them the songs and they're gonna give you the honest truth. And I think that's the most important thing as a producer friend who's also your real friend, is they're gonna give it to you honestly. You can send it to one of your hometown friends and they're gonna be like, oh, this is cool, or I'm not really feeling it, but you're not gonna get like the in-depth maybe feedback that you might actually want from them. So it's nice to have those connections, and to definitely stay in touch with those people. And it's important.
Yeah, Vin's a good guy for that for me as well. So it looks like we both bounce our music off of him, whether or not he likes it.
Well, you also know if you send Vin a song and he likes it, it might actually be good, because Vin doesn't like it. Vin doesn't like a lot of things. So when I send him something and he likes it, it means a lot.
I'm picky.
Vin's surprisingly quiet.
I'm picky.
Except lattes on Sunday. He likes lattes
on the weekends. Yeah. No, listen. Look, you guys are both very talented, and I appreciate that I am a part of the sounding board. And I think that I would be doing both of you a disservice, as I would be doing anybody else who sends me something, if I was just like, every time you send me, I'm like, yeah, this is sick, dude. If I did that, it wouldn't really benefit you guys at all. And I try to maintain that threshold and the standard so that when something does come along that's really good, you guys know, and it's listen, most of the stuff I do is not good. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just look at it that way. It's like,
all of us.
Right, exactly. So I think it's important. And like Cam said before, having that kind of smaller group of people that you trust to give you valuable feedback that you can take and apply it to make the music better is really invaluable. And it's something that I recommend to everybody out there who's making music or in any other creative field, because it's really, really important.
I agree. And by the way, I want to shout out to inspired_BYR in Rhode Island. We've got another Rhode Island, Malachi.
We got the Northeast fan that showed up.
Burlington, Vermont.
The boys are in the chat.
And Medeiros in New Bedford, Mass. Man, look at that. We got a lot of East Coast out there. Well, thank you guys for joining, and I hope you guys stick around for all the fun. But Vin, I totally agree. And Cam, what do you think? What do you think is as a, we're all obviously producers here. What do you think is the most helpful feedback someone can give you?
That's a good question.
Is it one particular thing, or is it anything in general?
In terms of a song, like the writing process, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess more generally, if you send someone a song and say, hey, I'm really curious what you think about this. Is there something that
the most
you
important,
find? Yeah, that you find really like you think, oh wow, that's actually a really great point. I always forget about that.
I think the biggest thing to get feedback wise is like, obviously as like producers and artists, we're never going to get to listen to our songs for the first time, and we're not going to get that initial like feeling. When you get to send somebody, either a rough draft or close to a final product, they're going to give you their initial thought and like how it hits them. And as artists and producers, that's what it's all about, is the feeling that we're going to give people and how to inspire them and what it makes them feel. So getting that feel like, oh, like, this is what makes me like super happy, or this one hits me like really nostalgic. I really like what you did with this, and it brings me to this element, or takes me back to this part of my life. And trying to find ways to, get that feedback to then, take that to the next level. Like, oh, this song's really making me, want to dance around. Or song's really making me like reflect back on my life. How can I take that feedback that he's given me and then kind of like dig deeper into that aspect of the song to make it even more.
Allows you to hear it fresh, which is, I know how that feels. A lot of times it's once you've listened to a song however many times and however many little snippets of it while you're working on it, you have no idea what it sounds like anymore.
It's the worst. It gets so worn out sometimes. Your ears are just like, oh, is this good? Is this bad? I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Dude, by the time I release a song, I hate the song.
Oh, I go all the time where I'm like, all right, I put the song out. I'm with some of my friends. They put it on. I'm like, can you just turn this off? I've heard this 1,000 times in the last 2 weeks. I need at least like a 3 to 4 month period so I can actually appreciate this.
It is it's a curse.
It's a gift.
Yeah, for anybody out there who if they've experienced that and they think they're alone, oh, you are not. That's kind of the hard part. Is like, it's also one of those things where like, if a song of yours becomes more popular than others, like first of all, it's a great thing, and you're happy about that. But when you hear about it all the time, you're like, you know what? I'm really tired of hearing about that song. It happens.
100%.
But whatever. So you released a whole bunch of stuff, and you've got more coming out. What was the mindset behind the release structure that you've got? Was it kind of just to get everything out there? Was it to make up for?
So since I put my EP out in 2019, it's mostly been like single focused. Been trying to do a lot more, house music, in this direction. And I think the next step now that I've kind of put out, 4 or 5 singles recently, the next step would be to put together a full-length project. I've never actually been able to do that, but it's always been something I've wanted to do as an artist. I think now having like a more of a up-tempo house-focused project, I think I'd like to kind of be able to finally have, something with a full body of work, whether it's like a concept album. Like I know when we were back in LA and Icon, we had to do like a concept-focused EP, and actually me and Vin were partners on that. So I think I learned a lot from that experience, and now moving forward, it'd be really cool to kind of put together a full-length project, like in that aspect of whether it's with a specific focus on whatever it may be.
Cam, what was your concept focus EP? Like, did it have to be based around visuals, or like what did that look like?
Vin, can you relate to this a little bit? I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I
can get into it. So I was hoping that, first of all, we got lucky that we got matched up, but we were thinking of doing I think we were flirting around with some like work in progresses earlier that year together regardless, and some of the things that we were bouncing around was kind of like synth wavy, and it turned out to be a little pop / synth wavy, and we got this girl, I think it was at the time one of our friends' girlfriends, to kind of sing on 2 of the tracks, and then we did 1 instrumental, but it was all kind of like the palette was predetermined. Like we kind of knew that if we wanted a synth sound, we were going to grab it from this particular synth, and if we wanted a drum sound, we were going to grab it from this particular drum machine. And what that kind of did, and that helped us, it took a lot of the when you're left with smaller pools of the tools and what's available to you, you're basically forced to be creative and to think somewhat like oxymoronic, but like inside that box, you have to think outside of it. Like, right, you have to like, okay, these are all the tools I have, but what's the best possible way we can use them? And that's kind of that was our approach. We did like a lot of Lindrum stuff. We did a lot of like older sounding kind of like 80s synth sounds, and the vibe was the visuals were very like 80s 90s early kind of synth wave neon kind of vibe.
I still feel like we got snubbed on that. I think we should have won, but
I mean,
you didn't win.
Our buddy won, and it was really good. I thought the music was probably not as like the musicianship was higher in what won, but I thought as far as like a concise project, I thought our message and kind of what we were just talking about, the branding, I thought all of that was like very on point, and we really executed the task really well.
Nick, I'm curious,
cool.
as a non-producer, how do you perceive it when artists release EPs versus singles versus albums? Do you think about it, or is it just kind of like, oh, here's a thing? Is there something that you expect?
I think obviously, of course, like EPs are becoming more common these days, but there was honestly a time as a music fan where like, I used to listen to like classic rock and rap music and stuff like that. So it's kind of like all across the spectrum. And then I gravitated towards house music. Obviously, as you got into more towards house music stuff, not everybody was releasing albums, right? So it was all singles, or it was all kind of like EP based, right? And so I think coming from that side of things, I expected albums, right? And I'm just like, why aren't they making albums? Why are there so many singles that come out? But I feel like today, with music being so readily available at your fingertips, you just kind of expect the singles to come out these days.
Yeah, and I'm curious what everybody in chat thinks about that.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
No, it totally does, and that's why I was going to prompt chat to say what everybody in chat thinks, because we as the producers, I think we have such a distinctly different viewpoint as to what should get released and what shouldn't, and it's often difficult, I think, to think from the listener's standpoint, because I think a lot of times we go like, oh, well, I really want to release this, I really want to release this, I want to do that. Yeah. But then again, the audience is sometimes like, they don't care. That's not what they're interested in. And that kind of disconnect is something that I think about a lot.
I think what's cool is that, though, you've seen, especially some dance music artists, like I remember like there was a point when Martin Solveig was doing this, like he was releasing a bunch of singles, but he said like, hey, these all tie into a story. Right, it's not necessarily an album, but I'm putting out a bunch of singles. So I think that's a pretty unique way to approach it.
From a listener's perspective, I've noticed, like me personally, I've been gravitating to more albums recently. Like I've been craving, like if I'm listening to somebody and it's just one song, I'm like, damn, I really wish I had like another 10 to listen to right now. Like this, for example, this guy Fred again. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's super talented. Just put an album out.
We're gonna listen to him today
this week, and it's so good. Like I'm just like, oh, I just want to put that on repeat.
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
really good.
Yeah.
From the listener's perspective. I just really want to start getting back into listening to more albums.
Yeah, I think Cam, what do you think about the album concept from a dance perspective, though? Because I personally have always thought that the album is a bit more difficult as a dance artist, because I think there's a certain amount of utility that is expected out of the music release. Meaning, if you put a song out, it should be quote unquote, DJable. That's what a lot of people expect. So if you're going to do 12, 15 tracks in a row of just like straight up house music, do you think that's even feasible? So what do you think about albums as a dance producer?
I think in that aspect, as like a dance producer, you'd kind of have to switch up the album. Like obviously you'd have all your club edits and whatnot, but if you're going to write like a full length album, you're going to have to break it up, whether, you have some kind of different style tracks mixed in there. Like Nick was saying, like where you're kind of like telling a story throughout the album. You're going to have to kind of switch it up, because like you said, you're not just going to have, these club edits at one after another,
Right.
It would get a little bit repetitive. So I guess in that aspect, you kind of have to dig a little bit deeper and kind of make it more of like a specific, project with, some varied sounds. Maybe you switch it up a little bit and, have like a breakbeat song here, or like an interlude in between, or, just maybe you could think outside the box and try to really switch it up in that aspect to kind of make that whole project actually work.
I think a good example of that is like Boston Bun just this past Friday, right? He released that Nightclub Inside My Head album. and there's a lot of differentiation there, and very unique differentiation. So
yeah. No, I think you're right. And so Jihad in chat says, I think it's shifted without live music. I want to hear more albums. Singles and bangers tend to get lost in the shuffle for me with how much music is coming out. I agree. And it's funny because that's something that I, as a producer releasing music, I struggle with, because there's a lot of industry pressure to, like always be releasing shit. And part of it is because, you don't want to like become irrelevant, so to speak, because there's so much music always coming out. You'll get buried. And also part of it is that it seems that the DSPs, meaning digital service providers like Spotify, Apple Music, all that, they seem to really like when you release stuff consistently. Yeah. If you disappear for a while, it's like they forgot about you. And so maybe they won't put you in the main playlist on Friday right when your song comes out. Maybe they won't support it as much if they, found a new shiny thing to look at. So yeah, it's an interesting debate. And so now, Cam, you want to do an album. Is it something that, where did that really come from? The idea to do it? Is it like a frustration with singles thing, or is it you've got a whole mass of music and you just want to go?
It just kind of came to me recently. Like, I haven't been in the last month. I haven't really been writing that much, and I kind of just been like listening and taking in a lot. And like I was saying, as a listener, I'm like, I really just been gravitating to these albums. I'm like, all right, well, if I'm gravitating to these albums, maybe I should put together a full-length album. So I'm like, all right, well, that's something that's always on my checklist. I've never done it before. All right, now how, as an artist, do I get to this point? Let's put this all together and actually make it happen.
Do you think, though, that there's a detriment potentially to releasing a big, massive work?
Like you said, it's definitely, there's something with like the Spotify algorithms. They, like you said, they gravitate towards these singles. I know like the content war is like crazy. Vin, I think you had told me last time I saw you, like, whatever number of Spotify songs get released every single day, and it's like something astronomical. It's mind blowing. You'll never be able to listen to all the music that comes out at this point.
Well, additionally, there's a lot of people, or I don't know if they're people or who they are, but there's a lot of entities, I suppose, that release a shit ton of just like intentionally like mindless copyright-free music, hoping that it'll just get put in playlists so they can have like, some passive income that they make like $10 a day from. You start to see all those, if you're listening and you don't know what I'm talking about, click around through some artists that you like, through their fans also like, and try to find the smaller artists. I find it's usually in the smaller artists that this happens. So like, sub 5,000 monthly listeners. You'll start to see artists in the fans also like section that have really bizarre names, and they don't seem to make sense. And you'll start to notice that like the profile pictures are identical to other ones. And all of a sudden you start to see this web of like what I presume to be just like bot farm playlists.
I've seen this recently too. It's funny you bring that up, because I saw it recently. I don't even know where it was. It might've been like one of the house playlists, and it was like a Drake remix, and it was cool, but it was clearly just made for like playlisting. And then I saw the same kind of profile picture with like a different same kind of branding, different name, with the same kind of style, and I'm like, where is this coming from? And I've never heard of these guys before anywhere else but on Spotify.
Well, one time I talked with not my label, it's just one of the labels I work with a lot, saying like, hey, why the hell does my fans also like section have a bunch of weird artists in there? Like, that looks really bad. It looks like I'm being put in these like bot heavy playlists. They said, we have no idea. We don't know where this is coming from. I actually even contacted Spotify to say like, yo, what's going on? Like, this makes me look really bad. It looks like I'm buying plays or something, which I have, I am so vehemently against. And it took a while, but Spotify fixed it. They said they found like a bunch of basically spam accounts and a bunch of, fraudulent playlists and shit. And so, I mean, I guess for anybody out there, if you notice it, I'd say probably let Spotify know. They may not be aware. And if you let them know, you're doing a good service to them, I think, because if they get the bots out, they get all the bullshit out, then that helps the real music that really matters, that people are connecting with, helps that rise to the top, as opposed to stuff that's just getting fucked around with. I'm looking at chat really quickly to catch up here. Jihad says, sitting on bangers. I don't know if that's directed to me, but I hope so. Cam, are you sitting on some bangers?
We got a few in the bag. Have one with Vin that we have to figure out, actually, but it's kind of a pop song, which is really strange. We accidentally wrote a pop song and don't really know what to do with it. It's awesome. It's a great song.
So I believe it. Like anytime Vin sends something over to me, he's like, "Yo, Cam and I did this." I'm like, "All right, tight. This is gonna be good." You guys have a good chemistry. You really do. I mean, that could open up a whole other Pandora's box. When you say you accidentally wrote a pop song, I'm curious what that means to you. Like, do you sit down and try to write house, or do you sit down and just try to write whatever? What's your process?
I kind of have like a direction I want to go, and then if it kind of goes another way, it goes another way. The way this song actually started was like I had written the instrumental, gave it to this group, they sang on it, gave it back to me. Wasn't sure if I like the direction it was going, so I'm like, Vin, I need a little Vin love here. Sent it to Vin, and like the whole song changed. The whole vibe of the song changed. And Vin played the guitar on it, kind of like beach wavy vibe, and then it just made the vocal sound poppy when before it was like more like a just because like melodic type song. It was really weird how the instrumental just changed the entire vibe of the vocal.
That's a fun one to do, to flip the vocal on like a different instrumental if it's in the right key. And by the way, Vin, can you try to find that stat about how many songs get released every day on Spotify? Jihad is curious about that, and I totally agree. I'd love to know. Another question in chat from Rocco Walker. What's up, Rocco? What about the 3 to 4 song EP approach that's been happening a lot recently? Cam, what do you think about that? Because I definitely have some opinions.
I think it's a good approach. Like the last EP I put out was 3 songs. I think it's cool when some artists actually they'll do like, put a few singles out, release an EP, and then when they put out the entire album, the EP will kind of be like part of that album. So you kind of get almost like the teaser through, a couple singles, the EP before the entire project comes out. So I think that's kind of a good way from like a content perspective to be able to like release those songs, like you said, slowly over time so that you kind of stay relevant while also working towards like maybe that end goal.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you out there not in the music industry, as far as I can understand, as far as I've experienced it, it seems like a pretty classic model is to release, a few singles, typically like the most successful ones they think are the ones that are going to be the most successful, and those are like to promote an upcoming EP or to promote an upcoming album. So I think what Rocco Walker is talking about and what Cam just alluded to is, it's kind of, I think a lot of people are choosing to do that same concept, but they're releasing like 2 tracks and then like a 5-track EP or something, partially because, like we were saying earlier, if you release a whole album, you do run the risk of a lot of that album getting buried and not heard because you never know. And so I think a lot of people are choosing to just release 1 song every 4 to 6 weeks or something, so that ideally they're kind of like taking their shot more often rather than here's a big album and you just hope for the best. That's not to say that one is better than the other. It's just an interesting way that the internet has changed the way we approach even the creation of music. And let's not even go into the people who like make music for TikTok, because that makes me want to shoot myself.
I refuse to download TikTok. I still haven't. I can't do it.
All right, look. We'll talk about this very quickly.
I'm with you.
No, get it. Get it. Look,
I caved.
It's better. It's better than it used to be. It used to be just a bunch of like teenagers sexualizing themselves with stupid dances, and that was fucking weird. Luckily, though, it has expanded quite a bit. There's actually a really large community of like really interesting content creators, some really, really funny like meme creators. I've grown to like it a lot in the past bit of time. Just like any...
Maybe I'll give it a chance then. Maybe I'll give it a chance.
Look, like any platform, there's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
And if you avoid that, there's some pretty cool stuff on there. I recommend checking out like John Mayer, for example. He's fucking hilarious. He does a great job on TikTok. He like approaches the platform, I think, very creatively and comically and effectively, and in my mind also uniquely. I will defend it now. I used to think exactly the same as you, trust me, because that's all that came out. I thought was like dance.
Vin, have you posted anything yet?
No.
God. Can we get a Vin dance video, please?
Yeah, we need one of those.
Yeah. Can you point to some words in the air?
Like above your head?
No.
Be the ball man.
I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what my first TikTok will be, but we'll get there eventually.
Dude, it's so funny. One thing, all right, here's the last thing I'll say on it. One thing I actually think is really cool about it is that it's intentionally collaborative, and it's intentionally like kind of evolving. So if there's like a concept, kind of like that whole pointing at words thing, it's cheesy, but then some people do a really good job of making fun of that concept, and then some people get really creative with using it, and all of a sudden you realize that thing, which at first glance might seem kind of weird, has its value. depending on how you create what you're doing. So I don't know, it's cool. If you find the right community, there's some cool stuff.
I kind of like the duet thing. Like that's kind of cool, right? Like if you're like putting like an instrumental out there, or you have like a bass line and you're like, hey, someone else like jump on this. I thought that was kind of like a really great concept, because there's really nothing out there at that magnitude, like at that level, that has that many eyeballs on stuff like that. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Like John Mayer's like, duet with me, and he's like playing a solo, and you can call and response John Mayer. Like, and then also the talent finding aspect of that is also kind of crazy. I think for better or for worse, I was, I think a lot of my friends, including you guys, know I was against TikTok for a long time. But if you make, and Warner, I think you do a great job of this. Like, if you make it your own and you're creative in your own way, I think it's actually pretty great from a technology perspective.
Yeah, I would say for anybody hesitant out there, I get it, but I think there's a value to it, and I think you can, if you like Vin just said, honestly, what you just said, make it your own, and there's value. But we are going to move on to the next segment of the show. It's been lovely chatting with you, Cam, and luckily we're going to have Cam stay on for the the little listening party section. We're going to listen to a few of the newest house hits that just recently came out, one of which was submitted by you on Instagram. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, Vin, as he noted in chat, 60,000 songs on average every day are uploaded to Spotify. That is mind-boggling. All right, well, we're going to listen to some of the best right now. So what's going to happen if you're new to the show is, because of DMCA takedown concerns, we don't stream the music over the show because YouTube will probably take it down. So what we do instead is Nick posts a link in chat that you can follow to Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you want to do. And then we all listen at the same time for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Then we come back and we discuss it. So Nick's going to post up the first track, which is called Golden. It's by Claptone. OGs featuring To Another, also OGs, relatively newer, but still. So if everybody can click on your preferred link, pull it up, wait to press play, because I'll actually count us down. Let's see. I'll give you guys a few seconds to pull it up. I will say, I'll admit I actually already listened to this accidentally, because the other day I was getting ready for something and I had it on. So I'm very interested to hear what we all think about this, because I have some thoughts. All right, so we're going to start on the song Golden by Claptone and To Another. We're going to play for 1 minute, 30 seconds, starting in 3, 2, 1, play. All right, we're back. Before I say what I think, Cam had quite the facial reaction. What do you think?
That ARP and the bass line work so well together. It almost sounds like they're like one, and the vocal just like sits so perfectly on top of that. Just like a great groove, awesome track.
What's an ARP? What's an ARP? Since I don't make music, Greg won't let me.
An arpeggiator, yeah.
It's not allowed. Yeah,
you're not allowed to make music.
Fans of the show know that Nick is expressly forbade. Vin, thoughts?
It was like clean, simple, effective. Well done. It was good. I was good hook.
I know you. You're holding back.
It was whatever. It was whatever.
Yeah, he's sandbagging.
Listen, it was cool. It's a good song. I liked it. There was, it was the Cam is like Cam said, like the ARP and the bass line is pretty cool. It was, it was a little like, I don't know what the right word is for it, but it was cool.
I didn't expect this from Clapton.
That's why I was also. I thought there was going to be a little bit more of an edge to it. It was like he's kind of got like a edge. Clapton's got like an edge, a little bit of a dark vibe, techno-y. I thought I was going to get some of those influences there, and it just kind of felt a little not in.
It sounds like it's more like a radio song.
It was very pop.
By the way, I may or may not know that Clapton may or may not be two people.
Oh, is it really? That's interesting.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's what I thought too. Was whoa, Clapton did this song, and so this is a constant debate that I have with myself as somebody who likes to produce a wide range of music, and I'm very curious what people in chat think too. Is when an artist releases something that you're surprised by, I mean, good or bad, regardless, like. Are you more often excited to hear something new, or are you kind of like, that's not what I was expecting? Because I think things have changed a lot in the streaming world. Because previously it was like all you basically had were albums. That was all you had. This is part of what we were talking about earlier. So you expected an artist to evolve at least a little bit. You expected it to feel similar to the previous album, but you expected it to evolve. Whereas I think a lot of people now, and again, tell me what you think, expect it like to be the same thing over and over. And even I myself, as a producer, was surprised that Clapton put this out, and I'm a little disappointed because I like what Clapton does when they do Clapton, or he or she or whatever, who knows. So Cam, what do you think about that?
Vince,
it is
real quick. Rocco has a good point. I also kind of skipped ahead in chat. Rocco said that the song kind of opens up a little bit after like two minutes, and he is right. The hook does kind of get a little bigger, and it becomes a little bit more grander. So there is that. I don't want to shortchange the song, without giving it its due.
I failed this
no,
week.
I mean,
this one.
Nick.
No,
that's not. Your job isn't to find like the coolest part of the song and have us like listen to that every time. So.
But we need to move on to the next track. So that was an interesting one to start with, a really fun one to start with. So we're moving on to the next track, which is once I clear my throat, excuse me. It's called Sabrina, I Am a Party by Fred Again. Look at that. It's great that that was recommended by Jihaj. Thanks so much, Jihaj. And by the way, if you ever want to recommend a song for the show, you can do so on our Instagram at House Club Live. So that again is at House Club Live on Instagram. Every Friday, I post something about submitting a song for the show. So just keep an eye out on that in our story. So thanks for that submission. Nick just posted that in chat. Let's see. Before we move on, though, Malky says, I like to hear all sides of an artist. It's so hard as an artist to stay to one thing. Yeah, I agree. It's tough. Branding is tough, but that's a 3-hour podcast we could have. And then Inspired BYR says, excited, evolution of sound and taste is always changing. Good. All right, cool. That's interesting. That's good to hear that the audience is a little more forgiving than I think the audience tends to be. Maybe we're a little hard on ourselves as musicians. All right, so next song is, like I said, Sabrina, I'm a Party by Fred Again. So click on those links, get yourselves ready. And once everybody's ready, I'll count us down, and we'll play for a minute and a half. And for those of you paying attention, Fred Again is the artist that we mentioned earlier that Cam brought up, who recently dropped an album, and this is a song off that album. By the way, you should look into who Fred Again is. It's an interesting backstory. Started off as a singer, a songwriter and like background producer, and I'm pretty sure this is all stuff that he's like finally now releasing as an individual artist, as opposed to the stuff that he was making for other people. He's got a long list of credits. So now that we're all ready to play, let's start playing in 3, 2, 1. All right. That's some cool Fred again, man. I love that bass line. I love the bow, bow. That like nice, subtle, kind of detuned envelope that makes it kind of go a little bit down after. And for the non-producers, an envelope basically just describes like a sound from the beginning of it to the end. So it's kind of like the full story of a little pluck. Cam, so you mentioned Fred again earlier. What is it that you like so much about him?
I think it's really cool when he takes like these random like YouTube clips and like different vocals from like where you normally wouldn't get. Like I know like on the last song, Maria, I think it's called, he took like the main hook from a Zoom call that he had and he turned it into a house track. And I'm like, that's the creativity in that is kind of nuts. And I think in this one, it sounds really cool. I don't know where he got that snippet from, like the I Am a Party thing, but then he comes over. I think that's him. I'm pretty sure that's him singing those lyrics afterwards on top of that, and then kind of making it his own. And it really, like the whole spacing of the song is really like, you feel like you're almost like in that room, which is really cool.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, something that he says he often does is, Fred again, that is takes random clips. That's like the vocal hook. And uses those. I don't know if he uses that at the beginning or just at the end or whatever it is, but it's a shtick he's kept up with, which I think is pretty interesting because if it's done well enough and it feels appropriate and it feels a lot more enclosed in the song than something a little less important like a vocal hook in a house track, much like, you know, many of the songs I've done where it's more just about like a memorable vocal. I think it's interesting because these, you know, this sounds like he had somebody sing it. But if you just pulled it from somewhere and they created a song around it, that's a really interesting way to go about creating a track. I don't know that I've ever done it. Vin, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I applaud the creativity. I think he's got a really cool sound. I think, you know, I'm always looking for inspiration, which is harder to come by, and I applaud things like this and music like this because it does help me think that like we aren't fleshed out of ideas. There are some original ideas left. so it's cool. I like this, and Cam has been putting me on to him for a bit now. So yeah, I'm into it. It's really cool.
Also, that album's pretty unique too. It looks like it's just a collection of stuff that he's done like over the past several months of the pandemic. So
yeah, he's an interesting artist. I mean, like I said, he's got an interesting backstory. So definitely look into him if you have not. That again was Fred again. We're moving on to the third song, which Nick will post in chat in just a second. That song is called "Breakaway" by Pleasure State. And let's get started by everybody clicking on the link to get yourselves ready. This record label is called Repopulate Mars.
Is it the Lee Foss?
Lee
Foss and Annabelle England?
Yeah, okay. Annabelle England.
Warner, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the same squad that did skydiving?
Yeah, so at least part of it.
Was that Lee Foss and Annabelle
skydiving,
England?
Lee Foss. Well, yeah, but the hot natured was Lee Foss and a few other guys.
Right. Okay.
But he was involved with it. I'm pretty sure that we're correct in saying that. So now that everybody's ready to listen to it, I have high hopes. And if you haven't heard the song that Vin's referring to, go check out the song "Skydiving" by Hot Natured. It's one of the best of all time. I play it in almost all my sets. Anyway, so here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, we are back. That was hot natured if I haven't heard it. That was fun. That was a fun track. It's if you're not familiar with Hot Natured, this feels just like it, and it's very like, you know, warm, plucky bass sound, like really good classic, like, you know, 2010, 2012 house, just like good. I don't know. I think that's like a sweet spot. Maybe it's just because of what it meant to me at that time, but I think that was a real sweet spot for house. And so it's really nice to see that it's still, I don't know, still popular and still really solid. It's still, you know, it's about like a really fundamental groove. It's good bass line, good vocal, good percussion. There you go.
Yeah, she's got a great vocal. I like the doubles, you know, the falsetto and the low, kind of when they kick in. I felt like a little happier that there was some vocal production there. I also liked that it just kind of grooved throughout, right? Like there really wasn't like too many up and downs. It just kind of got to a place, felt like a bit of like a pre-chorus there with the piano comes in, and then still doesn't really drop off. It doesn't like go up and down too much. It just kind of stays really groovy throughout the whole thing, which, you know, is what you're looking for in a dance floor tune like that. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that. Not a hard time. I don't, not to mean I don't like it. I mean, as a producer, I have a hard time doing that. I think I get so in it. It's like, sometimes like, oh, well, it needs to get smaller here and then bigger there. And then it's like,
I do that all the time.
Sometimes that
same. Yeah.
And it's important to do it right. But the point I'm trying to make is this track, I think you're right, Vin, did a really good job of keeping, like, it kept you interested. It kept building and it grew and shrank in different moments.
Subtly. Yeah.
But it was able to just like keep driving the whole time. That's hard to do. Cam, what do you think?
No, I agree. It's just like Vin said, just kind of kept you in that, like, if you're in the club, you're never gonna stop dancing. That song is gonna continue to have you dancing. And that girl Annabelle English, she's been like everywhere. I feel like she's been all like every house song. Like I feel like recently with her on it, just been a smash.
I always wonder when that type of shit happens, when it's like, how is she on every house song?
She just came out like,
like, there's a lot of singers. Why is it always her? And I don't dislike her, but it's just like, why is it always her? Why is there nobody else out there for some reason? I don't understand, but I don't mind it. Everything she does or is part of it seems to be pretty solid. So we're gonna move on to track number 4. We are going to be listening to.
I missed the club too, George.
Get Your Money. What's that?
G Hodge in chat said he misses the club. I also miss the club, as I'm sure you do as well, Warner.
Yo, the amount of times I've danced by myself in my room it's too many times. It's too many times. But my dancing is getting better. So
there you go.
That's good. It's because of TikTok.
Listening. Oh. Yeah, exactly. I'm doing all those really great like pointing moves. We are going to be listening to Get Your Money by Solardo and Wade. I love Solardo. Cool. So click on that link in chat and let's get ourselves ready to listen. This will be the final song, by the way, for this week. All right. So if everybody's ready, we're going to start playback. And once again, we listen for 1 minute, 30 seconds. So 3, 2, 1, play. Guys, I'm coining it. Acid G House.
Yeah, it was like a speed. It felt like speed house or something. I was like kind of like, you know, I was like,
I'm going 100 through a tunnel right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like Need for Speed Underground music or something.
Yes.
Dude, that's what a great game reference, and we're dating ourselves, which is good. As long as it's not Need for Speed like the original, because that was like
some Midnight Club.
Oh, Midnight Club was so cool, edition? Man.
Yeah.
It's a cool track. I think I'm interested to see this growth of kind of like, the 90s like acid and techno coming back. I think it's cool. I think my one critique of it is that I wonder if I don't know. I haven't heard too many people do anything that doesn't feel just like a new version of the same thing. Whereas I feel, I don't know, maybe I'm being hypocritical because I also just said how much I loved like the Lee Foss track because it felt like
it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I feel like my critique is that like the 90s was the whole thing, and then we like went decades past, and then all of a sudden we're kind of feeling like we're doing the same. I don't know. It doesn't feel that unique to me. Am I crazy?
No, we talked about this with Piano House last week, I believe. The standards are there, right? The pillars of the building blocks of this music exists.
Right.
And I think with Fred again, kind of breaking those down and building them back up again in creative ways are important to people who make music like us, and maybe less important to fans. But I agree. It's like we're looking for that little bit of spark, that little bit of kind of outside the box thinking on the initial genres, and I agree with you. I'm not sure like I'd ever be in an environment where this was kind of the vibe. I mean,
well, right. I mean, that's a warehouse. That's a warehouse show. That's a big festival,
in London.
Set if you're, if it's at like late night. I mean, I'm curious what people in chat think. Is this something that you're happy to hear come back? Do you think it should have stayed in the 90s, or is it like, it's back and I'm happy even if they're not doing anything that novel? And actually, more interestingly to me is if you know of some artists that are doing really cool kind of reinventions of either acid or techno or whatever, let me know, because I don't know, man. I really do try not to be a hater, but I just don't feel like I've heard anybody do anything that novel in that realm. Cam, have you?
I haven't, but like also, how many times have you heard that hook, like "Get Money"? Like I've heard this once or twice, but the song was good. I mean, I'm gonna dance to it when it comes on. Don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna lie. But like we've been here before.
That's true. We've been here before, and that's a point I'm interested in. Do you think? Okay, so I think, and let me know what you think, that there's like a difference between like a track that works well on a dance floor and a track that you're gonna remember, and sometimes they're the same. But oftentimes they're not the same. So a track like this for me, like
there's not a lot of longevity in this song.
I'm not gonna remember it. I don't care if it comes on though. Okay, cool. Yeah, it works. It works in the dance floor. It's got energy. I'm gonna go woo woo woo. But I'm not gonna go and listen to it again if I'm streaming it. So maybe that's my critique. Maybe I'm just listening to it for the wrong reason. I don't know.
I think every song has its own spot. Like this is you're gonna remember this song way more if you heard it in a specific setting within a club versus us right now doing this live stream critiquing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my video just cut because my camera. Oh, here we go.
Good look for you.
Cat.
That's great look.
Here we go. There he is.
This
guy wanted to say hello. He just woke up from a nap, so he's very sleepy. So I'm gonna hold him here because he looks really cute. I must apologize, Cam. I was so worried that my cat was going to jump on the thing like he did that I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I was just basically saying like it all depends on where you're hearing the song. Like you said, if we're going to hear the song maybe at a festival at a specific time with your friends, you might remember it a little bit more in that moment versus us right now just listening, critiquing it in that sense. I
agree. I think you're right. And I think it's also, Jesus, fucking fur everywhere. It's very contextual. I think you're totally right. This is ridiculous. I try to. I'm a serious journalist, and I'm conducting an interview. Jesus. No, I agree. I think one thing I'll be interested to see what happens in the next,
few months, right?
5-10 years. Yeah, shit, that too. Well, what were you gonna say? I was
just say I'm kind of excited to see what happens over the next, to the rest of this year with kind of dance music, and hopefully there's just like a massive resurgence and everybody's out partying again, and we're back out and in the clubs, and I kind of think it could be really great, kind of roaring 2020s, whatever, you know.
Oh, dude, my prediction is that it's going to be huge for this type of music. I think Solardo is in the exact right moment because I think people are going to be so fucking cooped up from having to sit around all the time. They're going to go out and they're not going to listen to like groovy stuff. They're going to listen to shit that makes them lose their minds because they're kids who are trying to like fuck and, you know, get all messed up on drugs. I'm 30 and married, so I'm not in that, you know, that group anymore. So they were so bored. They want to, those whippersnappers, those floozies want to go out and, you know, have their fun and with their devil cigarettes, which are legal in places, lots of places. And no, I think you're right. I think it will be interesting to see, and all we're gonna have to do is wait to find out. But I can tell you, I'm very excited to get back to shows. I bet everybody in chat is really excited to get back to shows. I know that we're all, as the musicians, very excited to see you as the audience because this you know, live streams. Not this one though. All live streams suck except for this one.
Great crowd though today.
Yes, thanks for everybody for tuning in. We do hope to see you again next week, same time every week. 2 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/WarnerCase. Vin, what's going on?
I don't know if you were gonna do it, but I'll do it for you. Can we plug your song that just came out on Friday?
We should.
You can. I'm gonna do this the whole time.
I believe the collaborator, and if you'll bear with me for a second, what is it? Max Kaluza. And Warner Case, Stop came out Friday.
That's right.
And we recommend that you all go and check that out because it's a banger for sure.
On the Magicians label too.
On Potion Records.
That's right. It's on Potion Records.
I just heard it earlier today, and it is.
Yeah, it slaps.
Well, thank you. I will say, even as the artist, and I'm not condemning my own music, but I feel like this one is more of a utility. I think this one is like works in the dance floor. I don't know if it's whatever. I don't know why I'm talking about it. Go check it out. I hope you like it. But thank you, Vin. That's very kind of you. Cam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Listeners,
thanks, Cam.
He is I Am Just Because on Instagram and on Twitter. The artist's name is Just Because. My cat's doing shit again. Sorry, per usual. But thanks again to everybody who tuned in. We hope to see you again next week, 2 p.m. Eastern. youtube.com/WarnerCase. In the meantime, I'm Warner Case on Instagram @Warner.Case.
And I am Vin Damato @IamVinDamato.
I'm producer Nick @Typical Nicholas.
Stay safe. See you guys next week.
Have a great week.